Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with that, gentlemen,
Well, Ethan,
I
we
know,
have your
I know,
question.
no, I know,
Oh,
I know,
I got you. I
I
got
know.
you. I
I have a
got you.
question. I have a question. Is the NFC South actually a good division
Are
after
we?
what we've seen in week one? Not to overreact, but are they actually a good division? Because you just watched the Saints beat the Titans. That's still a good football team. Yeah, Tannehill had potentially the worst game of his life, but the Titans are still a good football team. And then you had the Buccaneers upset the Minnesota Vikings.
Who? Okay, I want to put a little thing in here for the Vikings
Yeah, yeah.
defending
Go
them.
go ahead, go ahead
They
and
made
just
no,
recap.
no, no. They made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of that was error on our side of the ball. It wasn't caused by Tampa Bay. So I want to say that like a lot of the turnovers was because of errors on the Vikings side and not disruption from Tampa Bay. So I think there's a little bit of a uh, deception in that, not intentional deception. I mean, like it, the Vikings are better than they looked on Sunday. They are, and I think it showed in the passing game in the first half. I think they just need this game. It's a warm up for them, and it sucks that they lost. And it was kind of concerning them not seeing them have the magic that they had last year in the fourth quarter. But I think they're still a good team. But I think the Bucks are kind of hyped up a little bit by this and by the Vikings' mistakes. And I mean, that's how
Not
football
only
is.
hype them
You
up,
capitalize on the mistakes of the opposite team. But, you know, um, I think the Bucks are a decent team. I just don't think they're as good as they looked on Sunday.
I mean, let's take it from this perspective. I think we can all agree that the NFC South is better than the AFC South, right?
yes.
Okay, so they're at least not the worst division. We'll take that.
That's true.
Um, is which division is better, NFC North or NFC South?
Probably the North.
Probably the North. And then how about the
But
NFC
and that's why I'm
East?
just bringing it up now before we get deeper into the season.
Uh-huh.
Is are they actually a good? Because I mean, down the line, it can be exactly like you say. Like, yeah, the NFC South, if you were to ask me right now, is better. But if the Saints, Falcons, and potentially Bucks keep trending the way that they're trending, because I mean, that Atlanta defense was legit.
It was solid. It was
It was
solid,
Yeah,
legit.
surprisingly.
I mean, so I mean, I would have been shocked if they weren't legit with how many different defensive additions they added to that team. But I mean, let's go. Let's just take this by team. If the NFC South is maybe the sixth or seventh best division in the league, they still have, I say, three. Let me think. They still have at least two good teams: New Orleans, Atlanta, for sure.
I
Tampa,
agree
I
with that.
think, is a lot better than what people were expecting to be.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I
I
agree
think
with that. Yeah.
Baker is giving like a under like a almost like a a really like I don't know how to say it, but like almost like an underdog mentality to it, a walk on
Even Gardner
mentality.
Minshew vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think that's actually that's helping that offense. Like Mike Evans had a good game this past week, especially when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
And
didn't even get that touchdown either, which
yeah,
is surprising. Like
which that's big
he
because
was literally inches.
he has always been the one that's been so dependent on those touchdowns. But if we're looking at like Mike Evans here, 19 points total, but 10 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards, 6.6 average. Got to add the extra sixes in there, or else we're cursed. Got the touchdown, but averaging 11 yards a catch, like he's still going to be vertical down the field. Um, now Tampa may have it more interesting because I am concerned with that run game. I am concerned with Rashad White, but overall, good team. Atlanta, it really depends on Desmond Ritter. this past Sunday, I think there's still questions. I don't think anything's been answered yet. But when
Yeah.
you Algier, Bijan, it's your best position group on the team. And then at wide receiver is to be determined whenever Drake London can catch a pass. Not his fault though. But
Yeah, it was Arthur Smith's fault. And that's what Arthur Smith was talking about too. Like just early on in the game, he made the decision that we have to run the dang thing until we
yeah,
can figure out how we're going to counterpunch. And then they
Mhm.
counterpunched in the second half. Pitts started doing well.
yeah.
Uh, Mac Hollins started doing well.
I mean, this is what we talked about earlier. Atlanta's going to play through their running backs as they figure out the receiver connection. And I would say
Yeah.
for a lot of these run heavy teams that you have to, just because you run heavy doesn't mean you disregard the passing the ball. If anything, that means that passing the ball has to be even better than what you're than running the ball because
Well,
it has to be ready at a moment's notice.
gosh,
So,
it was
Mhm.
watching that offense was like watching the 0-10 Lions, Sagu
oh,
Lions.
oh boy, oh boy, oh speaking of
It's
which,
like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do.
Jeez.
Oh, the same run play again. Oh, sick. It's like he does as much as he's like, I don't care about fantasy football. It's like, okay, Arthur Smith, but do you care about like actually figuring out a passing attack? Like, do you care about that? Because you can't just run the football 100% and win in this NFL. You can't. I'm I'm just gonna go and tell you
Well,
right now.
definitely not when you meet up with high energy passing attacks like Kansas City or
Yeah,
you
you
know
can't. You just can't.
you
I mean,
can't
it will not work. So I
you can't keep
understand
up with
on
them.
one hand, yeah, you don't care about fantasy football and you're going to do whatever it takes to win. Okay, cool. But you need to have a passing attack figured out for some of these games because you will need it to win. Now, yes, Desmond Ritter is definitely already an upgrade over Mariota just because he takes care of the football, which that's all Atlanta wanted to see last year. They would have been in the playoffs if Marcus Mariota would have just taken care of the football. So we've already taken that step forward. You've seen the defense take a step forward. I don't know. I think they're going to be a team to watch, but they
they're
need
gonna
to how to
they're gonna
throw
be
the
a
football.
tough out.
Mhm.
I think for
Yeah.
sure. And I would not be surprised we see the division winner at 10-7. Is just how my feeling is. I think you might have like
Yeah.
10-7,
Yeah,
two
that
teams at 8-9 or
that
nine
might
and eight.
happen.
Probably between 10 and 11. I'd be surprised to see an NFC South team with 12 wins.
And yes, we talk about even like the like abysmal passing. I mean, Desmond Ritter still threw 18 times. There were points last year where they were just simply not putting the ball in Mariota's hands,
Yeah.
and I think
Well,
that's
they
kind of
couldn't.
yeah, they absolutely couldn't, or something bad was going to happen. But the fact that Algier got 15, Bijan got 10, like it wasn't like this carousel like it was last year, where it was like Cordero for 12, um, and then who was it? Algier would get like 8 to 10, and then their other running back whose name escapes me was getting like 6, and it was just this carousel of we're just going to run
Huntley,
the
Caleb
yeah
Huntley.
Caleb Huntley, thank you,
Yeah, there you go.
and so
I'm going
so
for all these Falcons,
yeah, all news Falcons is going to be
even if it's obscure.
so. This feels, I mean, looking at Desmond Ritter's stats here, it almost feels it was too safe. So now you just got to get Desmond Ritter to go, just rip it, dude. Like, just,
Yeah, yeah. Just have some confidence and go play.
yeah. And
I think
especially,
this is a big week though because you're going to see them against Green Bay. I think that's going to be very telling, and then you're going to have the Panthers and the Saints. And I think that's going to be very telling. The Tampa Bay
Mhm.
Chicago game, not so much because Chicago looks like they still have some soul searching to do.
yeah, they saw
But
Justin, like, yeah, literally Justin Field throwing 37 times and only 3 of them going past 10 yards, which that's not good. But I want to talk about, I mean, the Saints and Panthers are the two teams I got to talk about. Obviously, the Panthers are Uh, they're rebuilding. Bryce Young, yep, still made some mistakes, but I mean that's kind of what you expect of growing pains. They're
I don't know.
probably
He
going to
just got a
be
Jesse Bates sized ghost in his face.
yeah, that is true. And then I mean let's talk about New Orleans. It was a tough, grinded out kind of victory,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
is Derek Carr an upgrade over Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston? That is a
I think
stamp of
yes.
approval. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. That is a clear upgrade. Very clear upgrade.